So this is my Hirudegarn lock deck. One copy of the leader Hirudegarn, 4 Janemba Inferno Intruder, 4 Tapion, 4 Sneak Attack Vegeta, 4 Uneasy Goku, 4 Master Roshis, 4 Mr. Blue, 4 Bodyguard Electric, 4 E Supreme Kai, 4 Destruction Champa, 4 Objections, 4 Senzu Beans, 4 Kamehameha, and 2 Awakened Warrior Bardock. So as you can see on his front, the leader's front side, when this card attacks your opponent's leader card, you may discard a battle card and then draw 2 cards. So that will help you thin out through the deck, get to certain key cards, things you want. Specifically, you want to get to your, Destructive Chomp, E Supreme Kai, because you're going to be doing a good amount of double striking to your opponent. Once you get to the point where you can obviously get Janemba Inferno Intruder out, he's a 20k double strike, and then use Champa or E Supreme Kai on with him, you have a 30k double crit. That way your opponent's not adding cards to the hands, because you definitely want to get to a point where you are awakened and your opponent is not adding anything to their any new cards to the hand. You want to lock them out of their draw. With some, there's obviously there's leaders that have draw effects, like as you can see, this has the effect air attacks, hit your card, draw 2 cards. That will help. That will obviously counteract the effect of locking your opponent out of a draw. But at least you're putting them back by at least 1 or 2 cards at a time. The scenario you want to be in is you want to have Hirudegarn awaken, you get his effect, but also get sneak attack Vegeta's effect as well. So that's 2 cards your opponent's going to have to put on top of their deck from their hand. So that will take them back, put them back about 2 turns. So they're not going to see 2 new cards for 2 turns, right? So that's an idea. This is not like a permanent lock. That it's not to fully lock your opponent out. This is just to lock them out for like a turn or 2, so that we can try to get an extra turn. Or if your opponent's leader does have attack draw type of abilities, this will help you reduce the fact that they're getting advantage from their leader. So this will counteract the advantage aspect of the leader. So that's the kind of stuff you're trying to do. Tapion has the ability to target a level 5 or lower battle card your opponent controls and put it on top of their deck. So you can see it's more about putting stuff on top of the deck. So Tapion can do that. Sneak Attack Vegeta, and then Hirudegarn, when he's awakened, can put cards on top of your opponent's deck, which helps you control the draws. So it's kind of an anti-draw deck. And then of course, critical double strike. Make sure your opponent doesn't add anything new to the hand. So you're trying to control what's in their hand, what they can and can't do, while you're still doing all your fun stuff, double striking. And as you can see, obviously we have objection, which will help you get to 4 energy, because you need 4 more energy in order to get Hirudegarn's awaken ability. Obviously being able to ramp up to 3 on turn 2 is useful, because once you have 3 energy or more and you have no battle cards in play, you can play 1 blue energy in order to play Janemba Inferno Intruder. So he's essentially a 1-drop 20k critical. So that's really good. So on turn 2 you can objection, play a blue energy, and now you have 3 energy. You can use that blue energy to play Janemba Inferno. You have a 20k crit. So on turn 2 you can already start getting some advantage on making sure your opponent doesn't gain advantage, doesn't gain any pluses. And that's some other basic stuff. We got uneasy Alliance Goku, counter attack. You got Master Roshi and Mr. Blue. So you got 12 negates, as it were, 12 counter attacks there, so you can defend yourself. Plus you got a free blocker / attacker. And of course you got your 8 double strikes. Senzu Bean, oh man, definitely puts in work. Just on turn 2, you can do a lot. Let me see, how much do I normally attack with the leader with? About 25k double strike, and attack with bodyguard logic for another 25 to 30k double strike, typically 30k double strike. My opponent's leader, just by being able to use 2 Senzu Beans and then, like, 2 Champas or Supreme Kais, and a bodyguard logic, of course, plus the leader. Just go in, already be swinging, dealing 4+ damage in a single turn, depending on, the situation. Obviously, if you objection, so you can get the extra blue, and then use that blue, then you send the bean to untap that blue energy plus another blue energy, so you have 2 blue energies up. You can obviously go into plays like Janimba for 1 energy, because you have 3 energy now. Play him, and then still have 1 energy left to use a Champa or something to make a 30k double strike crit. Double crit. 30k double crit, and go in, deal a good amount of damage. Your opponent won't plus. Your opponent will awaken. Something I don't mention, but I always figure it should be obvious. People should notice that. My decks are aggro. I play aggro in this game. Defense. I always play defense in other card games, but in this game, I mainly go aggro. It's more about attacking. I always try to awaken my opponent first, and then I awaken second. I get the advantage in that. I've tested out different scenarios where, I don't awaken my opponent and I try to awaken first. Seeing which scenario works out best. But for me, it has always worked out best that I awaken my opponent first, and then I awaken. And the person who awakens second tends to have the advantage, from my experience. And I've played a lot, so from my experience, it's like, yeah, awakening second has its huge advantages, especially when you have more energy than your opponent. Because if you go first, you'll play energy, your opponent plays energy, then you play energy, you'll already be at 2 energies while they're still at 1 energy. And then it'll be their turn to be at 2 energy, and then your turn you'll be at 3 energy, and they're still only at 2 energy. If they're tapped out, you have 3 energies up. They're tapped out, you're able to awaken, especially if your leader is the kind that untaps energy, like Hirudegarn is one of those types of leader that untaps energy. You can use your 3 energies to play something, a 3-drop, and then awaken, and then untap 2 energies. So it's like you have 5 energies on turn 3. So of course you're gonna have a lot of advantages awakening second, because you'll take advantage of it, especially awakening on your turn instead of your opponent's turn or anything else like that. And awakening later instead of sooner, lots of advantages that. Plus, certain leaders have certain abilities on the front side that give you advantage, and then you get like a really strong effect later on. So Hirudegarn gives me draw advantage. Lets me sift through my deck by pitch, draw 2, pitch, draw 2. So doing his effect before I even tap energy. Another thing I like to do with Hirudegarn is especially if I'm on turn 3, is that I attack with him, get his draw effect, pitch, draw 2 cards to make my hand stronger, and then after that do some other stuff, play a battle card, like for example, Sneak Attack Vegeta is a really good card to play, since he'll put a card from my opponent's hand back on top of the deck. Play that, then awaken, tapping 2 energy, which will allow me to play stuff like Senzu Beans and Destruction Chopper, even other objections, to try to ramp up even more, so that way next final turn I can play more cards. Because I want to play a battle card, plus I want to be able to play a Champa or a Supreme Kai to give double strikes. And you definitely want to get Janimba out there with his crit and give him double strike and just go in and finish off the game by turn 4. From my testing, I've been able to push turn 3 wins, but 4, the average 4, turn 4, depending on if your opponent knows your strategy and they're trying to prevent you from winning turn 3. Those are rare occasions where you could push almost turn 2 of victory, but that's them God hands. But turn 3 you can definitely do victories, but turn 4 is the most typical. And not much else. If your opponent is trying not to let you awaken, not trying to bring you down to 4 life, you can obviously use Tapeon to try to get you to 4 life. Hopefully they dealt you 2 damage so far, and then use Tapeon to deal with the last 2, so that way you have 4 life, and then you can awaken. But if you're already at 4 life, then don't waste time with Tapeon. Go straight to Sneak Attack Vegeta. So you definitely want to get Vegeta out there, do his thing, and it's up to you how you want to play it out, because you can just you can obviously play Use 3 energies to play Sneak Attack Vegeta, and then Awaken. Untap 2 energies, and then you can use, Awaken. You can use your Awaken ability if you already have like um, you already have 4 energies. Something you definitely want to do is if you're in turn 3, you objection on turn 2. Because let's say you objection turn, no, you objection turn 2. No, if you objection turn 2, yeah, then turn 4, you will already have you objection turn 2, turn 3, you'll have 4 energy. So obviously you'll be able to um, pay 3 to play a Sneak Attack Vegeta, then Awaken to untap 2 energies, which will leave you with 3, because remember you have 4 and you use 3 and then you untap 2, which means you have 1 still tapped, but you have 3 that's currently untapped. Use that 3 to play another Sneak Attack Vegeta. That will allow you to, especially with your Awaken leader, allow you to put 3 cards from your opponent's hand on top of their deck. So one, they have less cards to block with, right, to try to prevent your attacks. But ultimately, they're just going to put 3 cards from the hands on top of the deck, so they're going to lose out on three draws. So if you do it right on turn 3, I keep thinking of the energies. I see 4 energies in my mind. I think it's turn 4. No, it's turn 3. You should have 4 energies if you objection on turn 2. You should have 4 energies on turn 3, and you should obviously be able to really, really hurt your opponent by putting them in a position where they have 3 cards from their hand put back on top of the deck, so that way they're not seeing nothing new for the next 3 turns. And that's, a lock right there, and you're going to take advantage of that. And that's all it is. It's not like a permanent lock where they can never, fight back or something. It's just definitely going to put them in a position where it'll be harder to fight back because they're not getting anything new. Hopefully what they already did have was good enough to battle you. If not, if they have a bad hand, you're just making the hands worse. That's what I love about this. If they already have a bad hand, you're making it worse because they're not going to draw into anything good. They're just going to draw back into the bad hand. So that's the kind of stuff you're trying to rely on RNGs, as they call it, or random number generator. And typical stuff here. Kamehameha, 3 or less, put on top of your opponent's deck. So you see, not all. Place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. My bad. So this is a good spot removal for certain things like blockers. You don't want people blocking your attacks, so you can use this to get rid of some of those low-cost blockers or anything problematic, anything with the 1-drop crits or double strike, or even any flood, any type of floodgate like a Dende or something. Especially since this deck likes to ramp, you definitely want to get rid of that Dende. And put it on the bottom of the deck. Definitely make sure they don't get it back, right? You don't want it back on top of the deck. So this is a good little cheap spot remove right here. And you definitely don't want stuff to go in the graveyard because most decks do try to take advantage of bringing stuff back from the grave. Drop area as they call it, back from the drop area. So you want to obviously not let things go to the drop area as much. You want it to go back into the deck. That's the best place to put it. And nothing else. Everything else is self-explanatory. That's the end of the video.